Hello and welcome. Look, whether you're thinking about buying, selling, or just refinancing, you're dealing with one of the biggest financial decisions of your life. And right at the very heart of all of it is one single critical question. So you've done it. You've scrolled through hundreds of listings, you've walked through the front door, and you've absolutely fallen in love with a place. Now the seller has a price in mind, but what is that property's actual objective value? Answering that question is everything. And today, we're going to break down exactly how it's done.
Okay, so let's just dive right in. To get to the bottom of that big question, we have to start by understanding the main tool for the job, the real estate appraisal.
Right off the bat, here's what's so important to get. An appraisal is not just a guess. It's not a Zillow estimate. It is a professional service done by a trained expert that results in a formal, well-defended opinion of what a property is worth. It's a serious, data-driven process.
And the whole point of that process? It's to figure out something called fair market value. You could think of it as the sweet spot, right? It's the price that a buyer who isn't in a huge rush would willingly pay to a seller who also isn't desperate to sell. It's the price that just makes sense for everyone involved in the current market.
So who is this person that comes up with such a crucial number? Well, let's meet the expert at the center of this whole thing. I really like to think of them as a financial detective, piecing together all the clues to uncover a property's true value.
Now, an appraiser is not just some real estate agent. Nope, these are licensed or certified professionals who are legally and ethically bound to be totally objective and impartial. Their one and only job is to be an unbiased third party. And they can specialize in all sorts of things, from your house to a giant commercial building or a plot of land. They get hired by banks, by courts, and of course by individuals who just need to know what a property is really worth.
Okay, so our detective is officially on the case. But how do they actually do their investigation? What are the exact steps they take to get from just a street address to a final dollar amount? Let's get into it.
Really, the whole thing can be broken down into these 4 key stages. You've got the property inspection, the market analysis, the valuation methods, and then the final report. It starts on site, widens out to the neighborhood, runs the numbers, and then puts it all down on paper.
So first up is the property inspection. This is the boots-on-the-ground part of the job. The appraiser is going to physically walk through the home. They're measuring rooms, they're noting the overall condition, checking out the quality of the construction, and documenting all the important features, like a brand new kitchen or an old leaky roof. This is where they gather all the physical evidence.
Next, the detective zooms out. The appraiser starts analyzing the entire neighborhood and the bigger market trends. Now, the most important piece of this puzzle is finding what are called comps, which is short for comparable properties. A good comp is another home that's really similar in size, age, condition, and location. And this is the crucial part. It has to have sold very, very recently. This gives them a real-world baseline for what buyers are actually paying for homes like this right now.
Okay, so once all that data is gathered, the appraiser uses one or more of these standard methods to calculate the value. Think of them as different tools for different jobs. For most regular houses, they're going to lean heavily on that sales comparison approach using those comps we just talked about. But, say for a brand new house or a really unique property, they might use the cost approach. And for something like an apartment building that brings in rent, the income approach is absolutely key. And finally, all this hard work gets compiled into the appraisal report. This is the final case file. It's this detailed document that shows you all the evidence, the photos, the measurements, the market data, the comps they used, and it lays out a really clear argument that leads them to their final opinion of value.
So we know how it's done, but that brings us to the next big question. Why is this whole thing so important? Why go through all the trouble? As you're about to see, the impact of that one number is felt in some of the biggest financial moments you'll ever have.
Just look at how broad the uses are. A bank is not going to give you a mortgage without one because they need to know their investment is safe. A smart seller will use one to set a realistic asking price. It's also absolutely critical for refinancing, for appealing your property taxes, and even for settling tough legal matters like divorces or estates. It's really a foundational document in the world of property.
All right, to wrap things up, let's clear up something that trips up a lot of people. In just everyday conversation, we kind of throw around words like value, price, and condition almost interchangeably. But in real estate, they mean 3 very, very different things, and getting them straight is absolutely critical.
Let's make this super simple. An appraisal determines the value, what the property is actually worth. A home inspection, on the other hand, assesses the condition. It tells you if the plumbing is bad or the foundation has a crack. And the listing price? That's just what the seller is asking for. It's their starting number, it's what they hope to get. It is not a fact.
And this is why that difference matters so much. This is where the rubber meets the road. Let's say you agree to buy a house for $500,000, but the appraisal, that expert opinion of value, comes back at only $480,000. Uh-oh, now you have a problem. The bank is only going to lend you money based on that lower appraised value. This situation can force you to renegotiate the price, or it might mean the buyer has to cough up a lot more cash for the down payment, or worst case, it can cause the entire deal to just fall apart.
So we've seen that an appraisal is this rigorous, data-driven process that's designed to find a property's fair market value. But when you boil it all down, it is still a professional opinion. And that leaves us with a really fascinating final question to chew on. In a market as wild and complex as real estate, what happens when two different experts, looking at the exact same evidence, come to two different conclusions?